Hi, my name is Stephen Meyer. I'm a UX designer, and I currently work for Velocicore, which is a company that I co-founded. And today we're going to go over rapid prototyping for Windows Phone. And specifically, what we're going to talk about today is Windows Phone 8 and how you can get an easy concept out there for usability testing. Let's see. One of the main things I want to cover is fidelity levels. There's different levels that you can go over. A lot of people use the term low fidelity, medium, high fidelity. This can also be broken up into other groups such as interaction. Do you have low interactivity or high interactivity? And what we're going to cover with Windows Phone is how to get a quick prototype out there, something that is actually working, but not the full product itself. And you can also have high interaction with the application. So some of the things I want to mention that we're actually going to go over and some of the tools that we're going to be using. We are going to be using the Adobe Creative Cloud. Specifically, we're going to be using Illustrator. And right now I'm on Adobe's website, and we have the overview for Creative Cloud. And if you do go to membership plans, let's get that to load. We'll go under individual. As you can see, complete plan for a new member, it's about $50 a month. You may be able to get some other deals out there. Sometimes they run promotions, especially when they first came out with it. Now, it is a great tool to use, especially if all you know is Photoshop, you're going to use Photoshop, and that is great. It's a great tool to use, and you can definitely use it on this for some of the images we'll be creating. I prefer myself to use Illustrator. It's a great graphic design program. There's a lot you can do with it, but it comes down to your individual preference, whatever you want to use and what works best for you. But so there's the Adobe Creative Cloud. Let's go ahead and move over to now if you look at the link at the top, we're on developer.windowsphone.com. This is where you can download Visual Studio for Windows Phone, and specifically right here we have the SDK for Windows Phone 8, and that's the other thing that we're going to be using today to go ahead and build the application. Now, I do mention we're going to go through this, and I'm going to try to do as little code as possible. One thing I do want to mention, though, is as a UX designer, you have to immerse yourself in whatever the product is that you're currently developing. So, I mean, if you are a UX designer for a company that develops websites, or if you're on a UX team within a company that does many products, but specifically you're working on the website, at minimum you should know HTML5, CSS3, and you should be working on JavaScript and jQuery if you don't already know that. And also, as part of the Creative Cloud, they offer Dreamweaver, which is a great tool. And what this allows you to do is you can build more realistic prototypes. So when you conduct your usability testing, or even if you're showing it to other stakeholders, you can get a great graphical mock-up or a good prototype with high interactivity to it. So, all right, well, let's get started. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and open up Adobe Illustrator. Now, here's a preview of some of the graphics that we're going to be using. So right now I'm going to go up to the top and we're going to go File New. We're going to start a new project. And as you can see right here for the width and height, I currently have it set to some default dimensions for the device that we're going to be running this on. So I have it 480 by 800 pixels. And all the other settings are pretty much good. Units are in pixels. The orientation is set properly. We don't want to do a horizontal. We'll keep with the vertical. And at the bottom, like I say, you can see we're already in RGB. You do not want to be using CMYK for some of this web and device stuff. And the resolution, 72 pixels, we're good. All right, let's go ahead and get started here. Okay, so our first artboard is what we're going to be using for our main screen when we build our application. So let's go ahead and edit the artboard name, and we're going to call this main page. And then we're going to add another one that we're going to be using. So let's go ahead, this little symbol right here will create a new artboard for you. And we are going to be creating an auto application, and specifically We're just going to do a quick design on something that would track your mileage. Like I said, real basic, very limited code. We're not really going to be getting into the hardcore C# or VB.NET. So we're going to call this one Mile Tracker. Alright, so there we go. We got two artboards set up. Everything's looking good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull over some graphics from that other one we've already created. Now the great thing with creating graphics in Adobe Illustrator is you can see the shadow that I have underneath here. Now Windows Phone 8 SDK does not allow you to do shadows. It goes along with their entire design guideline for doing the Metro flat look, which is a great look, but if you do want to customize your application and just give it a great graphical look to it, sometimes it's nice to have some shadowing and other effects that aren't offered. And the best way to do it is create a graphic and then import it into your project and go ahead and use that, and you'll get some great looking stuff. So let's go ahead and take, we'll start with this background that we're using. So let's go back over here. Now at the bottom down here you can see that right now I'm currently on the second artboard. We want to go ahead and move back to the main page one, make sure that's active. And we're going to Control V and let's get this in there. Okay, Control V. There we go. Paste it in. And up here we'll make sure it's aligned and centered with the artboard itself. And then we're going to go ahead and hit Control 2. Now this is a shortcut for locking it so that you know, you don't actually move it around while you're working on the project. Alright, so let's go ahead and we'll I grouped together the entire main banner so we can just go ahead and paste that right over. And we're going to align it with the top by clicking right here, vertical align top. There we go. See, it's already starting to look like an application. Not much work. Now these are simulating tiles. You know, like I said, we're going to be working with Mile Tracker. You can add other stuff additionally. But I have those all grouped together as one. And we're not too worried about a lot of this right now. You're going to find out how I'm going to turn these tiles into buttons very easily in our program. And there we go. There's our main page. That's already laid out. So like I said, we're going to come down to the bottom, move to the second artboard, make sure that's active. And the only thing we want to take from that is the banner and the background. Bring those right over to the project. And then, oh, whoops, let's go ahead and fix this. Yeah, here, we'll unlock everything real quick. And we're going to snag this background and then this header up there. And if you hold down the Alt button, if you can see, there's two arrows currently showing, one's black and one white. That means that you're going to make a copy. We're going to hold the Shift key, move it straight over to the lines, and it pulls an exact copy right over to the other artboard. Okay. Perfect. Alright, well, right there, we have the two starting points. This is everything we needed in Illustrator. I did these graphics beforehand, but like I said, if you were in Photoshop, you can pretty much do the exact same thing and go ahead and export those files. So that's what we're going to do right now in Illustrator. So come to the bottom, make sure we have the first artboard selected, and we're going to do Save for Web. Alright, now what you can see down here in the bottom left hand corner, you can see my file size. You know, we're not too worried about the file size right now. Like I said, this is just, we're doing some rapid prototyping. We have project requirement come down, and we wanted to get a quick design out there to start testing. So that's exactly what we're doing, and we are going to go ahead and save that. And let's see here. We'll go ahead and create a new file here. We'll put it under Windows Phone. Alright, we'll call this our program. Let's see. Pocket Auto. Okay, yeah, so we'll go ahead and call it. There we go. Pocket Auto Images. There we go. That's good enough. This graphic, we're going to call it main page background. Save it, and we're going to switch over to the second artboard. File, save for web, save. There we go, and we're going to call this, let's call this background. No problem. Perfect, there we go. Now we have all of our starting graphics that we are going to need. So let's go ahead and move on. We're done with Illustrator for now. We exported all the graphics that we need. And down here, if you can see, the Visual Studio suite, obviously, the green you have Visual Studio for web. The blue you have Visual Studio, which can also create Windows 8 applications. And all the techniques that I'm teaching you, you can easily do in the regular Visual Studio for full Windows 8 applications to run on the desktop, tablets, so on and so forth. So let's go ahead and open up the Windows Phone. And what you can't see right now is I'm actually running dual monitors. I always prefer to work this way because on the left-hand side, I like to have my phone emulator and my code. And on the right-hand side, I like to visually see all the design aspects and properties that I can change. So I'll bring those over. It's not a problem. You'll be able to see what I'm actually doing. And let's go ahead, new project. And we are going to call this, let's see, we'll call it Pocket Auto. And I believe I have a file that name. We're going to throw 1 at the end. I think I've already done this project prior to this, no problem. Okay, we're going to select, it's already selected over here. If you look on the left-hand side, we have Visual Basic. We will be doing this in VB.NET. It's up to you. As you can see, they have C++, C#, whatever your preference is. Right here we have Windows Phone app. What this is a single Windows Phone page. The unique thing about Windows Phone 8 is you can have panorama pages that scroll and pivot pages that slide over. So we'll start with the regular page. We got everything set up. Click OK. And right here, this is asking what device we want to target. When they made Windows Phone 7, everything was not transferable to Windows Phone 8. So you see we have 7.1 and 8. We're going to make this Windows Phone 8 compatible. Alright, getting everything set up. Alright, on the left-hand side right now we're loading our design aspect, and there we go, there's our phone to work with. Okay, so quick tutorial on the left-hand side here. I have it split. We got the phone showing right now so we can see the exact changes that we're implementing. On the right-hand side, this is all of our XAML code. Now XAML is a markup language just like HTML is to a web browser. It's very easy to work with once you get using it. Don't be scared of the code. There's not too much actual coding to it. And Visual Studio pretty much does most of the work for you. I'm going to show you a few things that you might want to jot down, but other than that, it's really not that bad. Now some of the things that you can't see that I'll pull over, we have my toolbox. Now these are elements that I can simply just drag and drop right onto the phone and it creates it for you, such as buttons and text boxes. Another notable thing is we have the properties panel. So whenever I select an element, I can change the color, I can put something into focus automatically. There's a lot of different things I can do from there, which I'll be pulling up throughout this project so you'll get a better idea. And then one of the other main ones is the Solution Explorer. Let's get that over in here. And this shows all the assets to your project, such as images, all the pages. Right now we generated our main page that we're going to be working with for our project. And alright, so let's get that set up back over here. Okay, now the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to get a clean slate on this page. Like I say, keep in mind, this is rapid prototyping, so you may see me do some unorthodox things if you are used to developing Windows Phone 8 apps. And my goal is to not build a perfect usable app right now. This is something, once again, I got to keep iterating. It's rapid prototyping. We want to get something out there And either there's a specific feature we want to test, maybe we want to show it off to some people and see what they think to get a better idea. So it's a very cheap solution. Okay, so I'm going to drag this over here. Now what we have is the document outline. So let's go ahead and open the layout root. And we see we have a stack panel. See how everything highlights over here within that stack panel? See, we have a text block right there saying my application, page name. Down here we have a content panel to drop everything out on. Yeah, all great stuff. We're not going to use any of it. So I'm going to right click and we want to delete all of that. There we go. And content panel, don't want that either. We are going to take that out. So what we're left with is a layout root that covers the entire phone. And that is exactly what I'm looking for. Okay, now let's go over here in XAML. And right here you see for the shell we have system tray.isVisible is set to true. Now the system tray is up here at the top. That's showing your network, your battery life, the current time. It's personal preference if you want that in your project or not. Just depends what you want visible when somebody opens the application. But if we set that to false, it goes away. And then when you actually run your application, it won't be there either. Okay, so what we're going to do is up here at the top, we see that we have our emulator. And if you use the drop down, now the WVGA, WXGA, WVGA, WXGA, 720p, these are all different resolutions that Windows Phone supports. And so we're going to leave it at the default one, the WVGA 512 meg for the memory is fine. And if you click the play symbol, what you're going to see is it's going to actually build the solution and it's going to run it on an actual emulator. Here's our emulator. And it does take a second to boot. There's no way around that, and no way to speed it up. But once it does boot, you can just leave it open and keep minimizing it, and it'll run extremely faster every time you rebuild your solution and download it straight to the emulator. Okay, so right now it's actually installing the application. You can see down here, it's showing you it's installing the application straight to the emulator. And there we go. Okay, right now we're loading the application. And what we have is a blank screen. That's fine. We didn't build anything. There's two reasons why I booted this right now. The first one is I want to show you what the emulator looks like and how you're going to get to it. And the second is over here, if you see this code that's currently running right now, that will be there the entire time unless you take it out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to take it out real quick. We're going to go ahead and minimize. Like I say, you don't want to close out of it. Right here we have the stop symbol. We are going to stop debugging. And I'm going to bring the Solution Explorer back over here so you can see it. Okay, right up here we have Show All Files. You're going to want to select that. It allows you to see everything that is available. And right here we have the app.xaml. And then within that we have the app.xaml.vb. And so that's opened up. Okay, right here, if debugger.isAttached, then go ahead and show it. And we do not want the frame counter showing, so all we have to do is set that to false. Very simple. Like I said, I'm trying to minimize the code here just to show you how easy this is going to be. And all we have to do is set that to false. It does have the IntelliSense where it'll show you, here's your options. You have true or false. And go ahead and select that. Okay, perfect. So we are done with that. And now, if we close out of the file, we're going to save the changes. Okay, we're back here. Let's go ahead and run the file again. It'll download straight to the emulator. And there we go. The frame counter off to the side is completely gone, and that's exactly what we wanted. Okay, go ahead and stop it again. Alright, now let's really get started here. Okay, so, alright, over here, under Assets, if you use the drop down, you can see that there are some tiles that are there. These are just extremely standard ones. If you hover over it, you can see they're actually just big stars. And we're not going to be using those. But what we are going to do is we're going to right click on Assets, and we are going to add existing item. And this is where we're going to bring our pictures in to our project. We stored those over here. Actually, let's see. Right here, Pocket Auto Images. We're going to select both of them, both background and the main page background, and add those. And there we go, they already popped in. So now they are officially a part of the project. Okay. Now for this main page, I'm going to bring over my properties. And when we click on that original layout route, already you can see the properties panel starts to change. It starts to recognize exactly what properties are allowed for that control item. So under brush, we have this little image icon. We're going to click on that. And it's already set to fill, and that's what we want. We want our image to fill up the entire control. And the image source, you hit the drop down, and it shows you everything that's available within the project. So we're going to choose our main page background. And there we go. Already looking like an application. Very easy. Let's move that back over. Okay, we're going to run this one more time just to give you a better idea of how this is starting to look. And there we go. So if you were to actually put this on a Windows phone right now, which you can hook it up to your computer and download straight to the phone, this is what it would look like. You would have an application. Let me go ahead and click back here. Right here we have Pocket Auto. Click on that, and it boots the application. Okay, let's go ahead and stop debugging. Now another thing that I'm going to show you, Windows Phone does have an app bar that's located at the bottom that you can enable. So we have something right here called the Document Outline. And under, let's see, there we go. Okay, so right under the Phone Application page, you go to Add Application Bar, and right here we have our app bar. And on here, you can see that the app bar is already showing up. So once again, we're going to right click on the application bar, and we are going to add a button. Pops right up, no problem. Okay. Let's pull up properties. There we go. The properties is already detected that we have a button selected. And up at the top, we are going to give it a name. We are going to call this one, we'll call it BTN About. And the icon URI is simply the image that we're going to be using. And you can build your own, and also you can go online and download other graphics. These are the default ones, though, for Windows Phone 8. You have all these different options to choose from and just throw them in there. So we are going to go with, where's my question mark? There we go. And right here for the text, we're going to call it About. And there we go, all set up. Alright, let's go ahead and move this. Actually, one more thing that we're going to want to do just to make things look a little graphically better. Let me bring my document outline over. And I'm going to click on the application bar. You can see the properties are already starting to change. So the background color of the app bar, and then the foreground color, which is the text that will be showing up, we're going to leave foreground at white. And then for the background color, we're going to choose a nice brown. So let's go into Illustrator, and we'll choose something right about there. And then if you shift click, you can get the hex code off of it. So we're going to open up background color, and we're going to do pound FF, and then paste that in there. And you know what? Let's go one shade darker for that. Okay. Okay. And everything else is good. Perfect. Okay, let's go ahead and pull those off. And now we have an application bar all set up and functioning. So the next thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to set up the mile tracker portion to actually be a button, so when the user taps there on an actual phone that you're going to present to them, that it actually does something. So we have our toolbox and we have our button control. And like I said, Visual Studio is just it's too easy. We're going to take that button, we're just going to drag it right over, and we're going to drop it right onto the phone. And we're going to position it right around that tile we created. If you notice, there's some extra stuff there. We can see button, we can see the outline. This can all be handled in properties. And we are going to set the border brush to nothing. And the foreground we are going to set to nothing. And the text, let's see, here we go, appearance. The content, the word button, we're going to take out. Okay, all done with that. We got a button set up. And now we're just about ready to start navigating through some different pages. Let me clear this out. Okay. Now the next step is we're going to bring in a second page, and we're going to call this one Mile Tracker. So we're going to project, add a new item, and we still want a regular Windows Phone page. And down here we are going to call it Mile Tracker. Okay. Add that to our project. And as we can see, we still have all this content on there. So on our document outline, everything under the layout root we are going to delete. And then the system tray, we are going to set to false. See, there's our IntelliSense kicking in. We'll just hit tab. And it's gone. And then bring over our properties. And we already have all the properties set for it. So we're going to throw an image in, and we're going to fill it with our regular background. Oops, there we go. Sorry about that. Okay. And let's go ahead and alright, so we have that set to false. Let's go ahead and throw an app bar in there. Same way we did before. Go ahead and just right click. This can be found in our document outline. Add application bar. Right click on the app bar. And we're going to do a button. And this one we're going to go ahead and do a check mark. Let's bring this over here. It's already selected. Our property's already picked it up. Throw a check in. And we're going to call this one done. And at the top, BTN done. Okay, all set up. Now let's go ahead and style our app bar. And we're going to use the same color as the one on the main page. So let's go ahead. All I did was click on the main page. We're headed right back over to there just so I can pull the hex code for the app bar. Go ahead and Control C. Jump back over to our other page. Click on the app bar. And Control V. Enter. Perfect. Okay, now we're going to throw some other, we're going to use some text boxes so that simulating the user is going to enter in some actual information, and then we're going to do some titles as well. So let's go ahead and put a text box on. And as you can see, we have some red guides as I bounce left and right, so it's going to balance out about where we should be for the width. You can obviously just click and drag and adjust it any way that you want. And under your properties pane, you can adjust the pixels to exactly how you do want them. But this is good enough for now. We're going to leave that right there, and we're going to bring our properties over. So for a background, let's see, we'll go ahead and keep it white. Now for the border, let's go ahead and use that same brown that we've been using. Just get a little theme going on. There we go. Down here we have border thickness. Set that to 4. And the foreground, like I said, that's your text color. Let's go ahead and set that to our same brown that we've been using. And as you can see, it already says text box in there. That will show up constantly unless you take it out. So we're going to scroll down right here where it shows text. We're going to take that out altogether. Alright. Now, same thing as Adobe Illustrator. If you hold down Alt, we're going to create a copy of this text box. If you hold Shift, it keeps everything aligned. And we're going to bring it down right there. And right now we have 2 text boxes that the users can put information in. Now let's go ahead and give them some titles by using a text block. Drag that right over. And we're going to set that foreground color to our brown. And down here under text, we get to choose our list of supported fonts, and then same with sizing. So we're going to throw some bold in there, and we're going to put it at about, let's try 24 pixels. And let's get things aligned there. And we're going to call this one our starting mileage. And once again, hold down Alt, Shift, keep everything aligned, bring it straight down. And we're going to double click on it and call this ending mileage. Okay. And everything looks good. Okay, now we are ready to do some quick navigation. Then we'll come and do some more work on this page. So right up here, let's go to main page. And we still have that original button. As you can see in our document outline, under our layout root, which carries that big image that we imported, we have a button, which can be found that lined up right around the tile. So let's go ahead and just right-click on that button. And down here you see Navigate To. And it already recognizes the other page that we called miletracker.xaml. And we just click on that, and it navigates to that page. I did not write any code to do that. Nothing. I mean, you just right-click and navigate to, and that's why this process becomes so quick. And let's go ahead and run this in the emulator just to test it and make sure it's working. Okay, so let's simulate that we're going to tap on that tile, and it brings up the next page. So everything's navigating perfect. And then if we go ahead and tap in the text box field, right there it comes up with your standard keyboard. You know, just to add a little more user experience in there, typically we do want to avoid, if it is a number only field, we don't want them to have to switch over and pull up the numbers. And let me show you how to fix that right now. Let's go ahead and stop debugging, go back to our mile tracker, select that text box, and over here in our properties, under our input scope, they give a list of different types of inputs that you would want to use, and the keyboard will adjust itself. So we only want numbers, and there is one called numbers. So we got that set to number, And then for ending mileage, we're going to set that as well to number. There we go. Okay. Let's go ahead and run that. So I can show you. It makes things a lot faster and a lot easier on the user. If you could eliminate steps, by all means, do it. And there we go. We have our numbers. That's perfect. Okay. Now let's go ahead and stop debugging and carry on. Okay, we want to create one more page. So we're going to go project, add a new item. And we're going to call this one results. The main thing that we're going over right now is someone enters in the odometer reading off of their vehicle for the starting and ending trip, and it'll tell you, hey, here's how many miles you drove. Like I said, I'm just using this as an example. I don't think I really do this. Okay, we got that new page. Bring over the document outline. Let's take the stat panel, content panel, delete them out. Done with that. Let's go ahead and system tray to false. Done. Click on that layout route. Choose our background image in properties. All set up. And then bring our document outline back over. Let's add an application bar and add a button and get some properties over here for this. For this one, this is just going to go back to the home page. Typically, I would build an icon that has something indicating it would go back to the home page if it was necessary. For now, we're just going to use the back arrow. As you can see, Windows Phone does have that hardware back arrow. So there's really no need. If you're going to go back one page, it's best to keep everything standard and just let them utilize that built-in back button. Okay, we are going to call this one, we'll call it BTN Home. And we are going to put Home. Okay, and let's go ahead and select the application bar. And let me get some of those colors that we used before. Alright, background color, set that brown. Foreground color, we want to keep the white. And this page is pretty much ready to go. Really easy. Okay. Now from here, they put in their starting mileage, they put in their ending mileage, so anytime you're not going to write code, and let's say you don't want to have to write an algorithm or just a simple formula that's going to calculate something, the best thing to do is when you're doing usability testing, give the user predefined examples to put in. So if I was testing this application as part of my usability test protocol, I would already have it in there that I want the user to put their odometer reading was at 2,500 miles and their ending mileage was at 3,000. So then when I navigate to the next page, it's going to be correct because I'm doing calculations. I put you traveled 500 miles. There's no problem with doing that. It may not be what the user actually did, but they get the point. So it's good enough for this example if we were doing a usability test on it. So let's bring over a toolbox, and we're just going to put some text blocks in there, and then go ahead and just give it a little bit of styling. Okay. Let me move this over so you guys can see everything that I'm doing. Okay, foreground color, set it to that nice brown that we've been using. Down here on text, we're going to make this big and bold. And we are going to put total mileage. And we already know, like I said, that they drove 500. It's not a problem. We are going to Alt and replicate this, bring it down. And like I said, we're going to make it so that they drove 500. So we're just going to put 500 miles. And let's make this stand out a little bit more. Actually, no, we're going to take the bold off of. Let's see. There we go. Take the bold off of all of it. Okay. Let's go ahead and line that about in the middle. Let's go ahead and line that right about the middle. Okay, perfect. Let's go ahead and get rid of some of this stuff. Okay, so now what we're going to do is, I showed you an easy way on how to navigate in between pages. I have this invisible button laid over the tile. When you right click, you go navigate to. See, now it recognizes I have 2 more pages to navigate to. It's already selected to go to Mile Tracker. Now the next way that you may want to navigate is, I've been creating these app bar buttons. Well, you cannot right click on the app bar button and it shows navigate to, but it's not going to allow me to. If you, it's difficult to see what it's actually selecting as the background. So this one we are going to have to use some code on. We're just going to use some quick copy and paste and a little modifying, and it's really not that big a deal. We're not doing too much VB.NET or C# here. So we're on the Mile Tracker page. The user enters in their mileage, and then down here they're going to click Done. And that should navigate to our results page, which shows how far they actually drove. So in my XAML, up here under the application button, it shows BTN done. It already built everything for me in XAML. I didn't do this. It automatically fills it in, and then it shows what our icon is, and then it shows what the text is underneath. So we are going to generate a click event. IntelliSense automatically senses everything under C, so we have click. I'm going to tab, and right there it says new event handler. We're going to double click that, and it generated a click event for it. So what that means is, when it's clicked, something's going to happen. Alright, so right here in our document outline, we can see that we have our button under our application bar, and then our layout route, we have all of our text boxes and text blocks. So let's go ahead and right click on the button, and we are going to go to view code. And right here is where it generated that click event. As you can see, it has our button name underscore click. So the code that we're going to use is very simple, and IntelliSense is going to help us out with almost all of it. So we have navigation service right there. We're going to tab dot and then navigate by the way, I am reading this off of another page just so I can remember here. Once you have it, if you're using this for rapid prototyping, I would just copy and paste it, and if you do know it well enough, then just go ahead and type it out. So new URI, what we're going to do is we're going to tell it what page we're actually sending this click event to, and we are going to send this one to our results page. So results.xaml, and then we are going to do URI relative. Perfect. And we are going to close everything out. Okay, let's go ahead and test this out. Let's see where we stand right now. All right, we're on our home page. We click on the mile tracker, and we are going to enter in starting mileage. Our vehicle has 2,500 miles, and our ending mileage after our trip. Oh, see right there? I need to go back and make sure that I select that field as a number. But for now, we'll get around and use this. And we're going to hit the check mark, which if you hit over here, you can see what it says. Done. And there we go. What we did was we navigated to a new page, but it was seamless. I mean, you didn't really notice the transition. It happens very fast. Since we don't have much content, we're not actually generating that much. And most of what we're doing is pictures anyway, so as long as the file size is low, it's quick and easy. Now, the next thing we do is generate the click event for this home button so we can navigate all the way back to the home page, or we can go ahead and hit this back and then just keep tapping that, and we'll make our way back to the home page. So let's go ahead and just for exercise, we'll generate that button. So that was on our results page. And as you can see here, we have our home button. Let's go to right click. Oh, wait, skipping one step. We do want to do that click event up here real quick. And we're going to click, and then event handler. There we go, it generates the event handler. So now when we view the code, there it is. So we have navigation service.navigate. We're going to do our new URI. And right there, we want to navigate back to our home page, which we called mainpage.xaml. And then we want to do our URI kind of relative, close it out. And let's go ahead and fix up one of our other errors on our input page. Let's bring that over. All we have to do is pull up the property so we can view exactly what our input scope was set to. And right here we have a blank input scope. So let's go ahead and set that to number. Okay, and let's go ahead and run the project and see how everything's looking. Alright, we're on the home page. Let's go ahead and click on Mile Tracker. And starting mileage, we have 2,500 miles. Ending mileage, 3,000. And we're going to hit, just hit the check mark from there. There we go. 500 miles. And let's make sure our home button is working. So if you click over, you can see that we have home right there. And we're back on the home page, and we can go over everything again and again and again. Obviously, some of the things that we didn't account for, which would have been done in code, is error handling. So, for instance, obviously, if for starting mileage I had a blank field, I did not put any integer values in there, and I just hit the check mark. Obviously, I didn't parse for that stuff, which is fine because at this stage in our prototype, we just want the user to get familiar with it. We're going to give them the values. They're going to enter everything in, and they can get a good feel for how the application is going to work. Okay, so some of the things I want to cover were pretty much at the end here. I did use more or less a graphical design. Whether it's a good one or not is debatable, but we do have graphics in there, and the user, when they look at these graphics, they're going to interpret it as if this is a functioning application. I mean, it does look like one, and when you tap stuff, things do happen. So you may want to brief the user before you do a usability test and explain to them why this may look and function similar to an application. It is not complete. What we're doing is testing specific items in it, just so they have a good feel for if something happens that shouldn't have. They know why it's not a complete application. You can do more or less a wireframe. The same way that I did this, obviously, instead of doing graphics, you would try to keep things black and white. so that you get the concept of the application and how it will flow versus how it will look. Because like I said, at this stage, I mean, you have all these gradients and shadows and colors, and some users might look at it. We're trying to test the mile tracker feature, and the first thing the user says is, "Wow, like that's a lot of brown that you're using. You got a brown tile, brown banner, brown tiles, brown text. That's a lot of brown, and I don't like brown." So they're starting to focus on more of the color and typography versus the actual functionality. And like I said, if you explain to them from the beginning, you can help navigate them away from that, but you still may come across it, and that's why you have the choice: either do a great graphical design and run it as such, or just stick to like a black and white wireframe type design where you can actually have interactivity. Now, like I said, whatever your profession is in the UX field, you do want to make sure to immerse yourself into that. And I happen to specialize in design for like Windows Phone and Windows 8 applications, along with web designs. So I do know Visual Studio for Windows Phone. I do know Visual Studio for Windows 8. I heavily use Dreamweaver with HTML5 and CSS3 and JavaScript. I mean, these are things that, as you can see, I've probably been talking for maybe roughly 20 minutes here, but I did run through this application prior to doing this video, and I mean, it took me about 5 minutes, graphics and all, to generate this, whereas somebody generating a mock-up or a wireframe, it might take them the same amount of time, and they have very limited interactivity to it. Unless you're using a program like Balsamiq, which is a great program, I do use it, but when I really want to test something on a phone, I can't necessarily download my Balsamiq wireframe to an actual device. I can simulate that I can maybe save some of the pictures to the phone and flip through them, but with this, I can plug in any Windows phone and download straight to it, and it is an actual live application running. So, these are just great tools. Everything is a tool for your toolbox. And if you're doing Windows Phone and Windows 8 apps, my recommendation is get into Visual Studio, start playing around, maybe look up some other tutorial videos. I'll do my best to post some more, but really get in there and learn it so that you can generate things just as fast as you would be able to, maybe sketch them out or create wireframes on it in other programs. And plus, everyone loves something that functions more realistically, and especially if you have other stakeholders on your project, I'm sure they would be pretty excited to see something like this versus, a piece of paper. Like I sketched out some of the stuff that I was going to be doing. Obviously, it's a good exercise, but it's not as thrilling or exciting to people that may not understand the whole UX field and exactly what we go through and what we have to account for. So, like I said, my name is Stephen Meyer. I appreciate you watching my video, and feel free to visit my website. It's MeyerUX.com. I'll go ahead and post the link below. And if you have any questions, go ahead and post in the comments, or visit my website, send me a message, and I look forward to making more videos for you guys. All right, thank you.